Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to RAPS Assistant on Air, your Rapeseed podcast. My name is René Brandt, and today I want to speak with you about flowering, the rapeseed flowering, one of the most beautiful periods in our business. Yeah, 1 year ago, ladies and gentlemen, we reached already full flowering in Germany. Today, we are 7 to 10 days at least behind the average. What are the reasons? Mainly the cold April with temperatures up to 4 degrees below average. But ladies and gentlemen, before we start now planning our harvest 2021, we should not forget our homeworks. The rapeseed flowering application is the last step between us and a silo full of rapeseed. Therefore, I invite one of the main experts from Lithuania to speak exactly about this, the right flowering application. We will discuss what to do right now. I will try to reach his personal recommendations directly for you. And of course, we will also have a look on the small details for a successful rapeseed flowering application. So, ladies and gentlemen, have fun and enjoy our newest podcast. Arnas, nice to have you here today in my little show. How are you doing?
Well, like always, better than yesterday, but worse than tomorrow. So it looks like every day is better, especially when we got a heat wave and it's plus 20, around plus 20 today. It's 11th of May. And today I'm on the fields, to be honest. And today I saw quite nice crops of winter orchid, some of your varieties as well. And after this morning, near Šiauliai, I joined you for this podcast. And immediately after that, I'm coming back to the fields, and we'll discuss together with our fellow partners, farmers, what are next works on the fields. Which of them are coming and should be done immediately, because quite cool and windy weather we were not able to apply most of growth regulators, not only to winter orchid drip but also to our winter wheat as well.
Oh, Arnas, yeah, you're right. Great to hear that I catch you here for a few minutes to speak with you about the rapeseed. So proud to have you here today. And it's good to hear that you are fine in this quite special period with Corona. Arnas, let's look ahead and discuss a little bit about the next months. April was now pretty cold. Flowering 2021 will start later, definitely later than in comparison to the last years. So our customers asking now, with these cold temperatures in April, will that have influence on our production in 2021?
Well, I'm looking into this cold period of time from two sides. Yes, one is quite good and one is not so good. So let's start with worst one. Our harvest time should be a bit later. So it means that our let's say areas of winter orchid drape should decrease a little bit because of the time we'll have to drill after the harvest of winter wheat, which should be later. Of course, there might be some droughts during the not May, because it's raining and it's quite good weather, but maybe if we'll have drought in June or July, and vegetation period of winter crops will stop immediately in some period of time, then we'll be able to drill everything and we'll be able to prepare the soils for the drilling. But on the other hand, cool weather gave some extra time for the plants for longer vegetation. And longer vegetation means higher yields. And I suppose that even the insects and other pests were quite absent out of the fields because of cool weather.
Arnas, let me remind our audience a little bit about you and your position in Agrokoncernase as one of the main dealers in Lithuania. You are working there as a pesticide manager, and in your position you are also getting a lot of these internal experiences based on your own trials, which you establish every year on your own testing station.
Yes.
So I'm asking myself now, we recognize a trend in the market for more varieties with more and more technical features. We see that the varieties become more and more healthy. I'm interested now, do you check your candidates in your internal trials also for such features like flowering?
Yes, of course, we do that. So we are measuring the time when variety starts to flower and when it ends. So we have time, how long does it flower, and of course we can differentiate varieties in between. Some of them are starting to flower quite early, others are starting late, some others are starting somewhere in the middle. And I believe that every single farmer should have different kind of varieties. And the best illustration for me is the time from 2013. On 2013, I just started. It was maybe a couple of years while I was working as an agronomist in Agrokoncernase, and I had a phone call from one of our customers, and he invited me to investigate one of the crops, because the idea was that this hybrid, then we had, I suppose it was Artoga from Limagrain, quite old and very nice variety, and the complaint was, was about missing pods on the stem. And we found out that some of other hybrids, later hybrids on the other side of the road, doesn't have these empty places. And the difference was that another hybrid started to flower 3 to 4 days later. And during these 3 or 4 days, we had huge heat wave. And during this heat wave, all the pollens got dry and pests got dried, and the flowers was infertile. So they were sterile. And it was a very good time for me as a young specialist then to understand that we must differentiate all the risks. And a good reminder for us was last year when we had, it was, by the way, 12th of May, exactly 1 year ago. And we had quite a lot of snow and frost. So this snow destroyed some of very nice Olsudrip, not destroyed, but let's say made it suffer. And those varieties who was later on the flowering, they were not so massive, and they felt much less damage there. So it's always good to have differentiation there about varieties, not only when we're talking about harvest time, not only when we're talking about winter hardiness and yield, but also time of the flowering as well.
I'm now, I would like to know now from you, based on Lithuanian conditions, what do you prefer? Do you like then more the early starting flowering varieties or later ones? Which one do you prefer personally?
In last 3 years, my personal favorites became varieties who are flowering later and are later, just because they are yielding better. Usually because they have longer vegetation period. That's good for good point for most of the farmers. But the thing is that in last 3 years we had extremely nice conditions to harvest, and from that point of view, farmers could drill these varieties early, and they got massive, and there was not so many problems in the spring with them, and especially during the harvest. But I believe that if we'll have late harvest right now, and we would have a couple of next years when we will harvest late, this trend should change a little bit, and farmers will come back, and myself, I'll come back to some earlier varieties like Phantom, for example, but it's still working, and it's not bad, you know. The difference there is 100, 150 kilos, sometimes 200, but of course we are always trying to get maximum, because we're harvesting only once per year.
Yeah, that's right. You mentioned already the differences in the varieties. I can confirm that we have seen in our internal screening trials also this difference in start of flowering. There is a difference of up to 10 days between first and last ones, and you mentioned that already. That has impact on the further development of these varieties and on the right flowering application. While varieties like Phantom, they show in our internal trials start of flowering already 98 days after the 1st of January. We have varieties like Duplo, your newcomer for next season, or Phoenix Cell. They start 4 to 5 days later. Based on these deep discussions in the market, based on these upcoming challenges for a successful rapeseed production, we discuss also a lot about risk management and the right strategies to balance the risk here in the right way. That should also require a discussion about the right varieties outside in the field and different varieties. Do you sensibilize in your discussions with customers regarding this point, start of flowering, and how do you highlight here then the right flowering date?
Right flowering date, or
for the application?
For the application. So I believe that every single year and every single farm should take their own decision based on moisture they do have, and how many applications they are planning to do during the flowering. I prefer to do 2 applications, even if we are splitting the same dose rate of fungicide in half. So, for example, we have extremely nice product, it's called Pictor Active, and it's registered also for 2 applications. So, and it's only 1 fungicide in the market, by the way, which is registered for 2 applications during the flowering. So most of our clients are using 0.7 dose rate during the flowering, and most of them, or many of them, are using it in the middle of flowering. Our suggestion is to increase dose rate to 0.8 and split it in half. So 0.4 in BBCH 63 and 0.4 in BBCH 67, so second part of the flowering. And during 3-year trials, we can see very nice increase of the yield when we're applying it twice in fungicide. Okay, coming back to your question, our idea is to look into weather, and if it's dry, it's better to apply in the beginning of flowering and in the end of the flowering. If it's wet, we are applying in the beginning of flowering and in the middle of flowering, because our goal is to always to cover first blossoms, because these first blossoms are doing biggest damage during the vegetation, because first infection is the one which stays in the crop for the longest period of time.
Okay.
So beginning of flowering 63, 25, 30% of blossoms are flowering already, and then second application if it's wet in the middle of flowering, and if it's dry in the end of the flowering. It's our recommendation. If it's let's say very wet and the farmer is planning to apply it once, we should look for something in between, from 30% to 50%, something in between, but still in the beginning of the infection.
Okay.
So, a remark from my side would be like this. And by the way, I can see that on the table you have some papers which are published by us, by our team, I suppose, yeah?
I prepared myself.
Yeah. So this paper is prepared not only by me, but my colleagues as well. We have a very nice team in our Innovation and Research Center. And Dr. Egle Petraitene, she was doing registration trials for winter oilseed rape and spring oilseed rape products, and worked with varieties for 20 years in the Institute of Agriculture in Lithuania. So with all this knowledge, practice, and experience, she came to our team, and now we feel one of the best experts in winter oilseed rape than ever. Okay. So good feeling for our team, and knowledge we are spreading. We are really convinced about it.
Yeah, Arnas, it sounds already interesting, and I can feel really how much you like these detailed discussions about the different pesticides, and now here for fungicides. I would like to take one more moment and to get a little bit more feedback from your side. What kind of questions coming to you from your customers? What are the main points what they would like to know regarding flowering application?
So main question is when to spray, when to apply, and it's really, in most of the cases, it's hard to say, and it's hard to tell, because every single time we have customers across the whole country, and climatic conditions are different. Sometimes one field and another, even on the same farm level, is a very different one. And it's quite hard to tell that we should apply fungicides now, because one variety and another variety might be very different on development scale. Yeah. So when to apply is the most common one, and second and quite common one, how to spray if we want to catch all the insects. Yeah. And that's another point why we are offering and advising our customers to apply fungicide twice, because you are always, let's say, life pushes you to apply 2 insecticides, yeah, during the flowering. And if you are applying 2 insecticides, it's no reason to apply once for fungicide. So you can apply fungicide twice as well, and only split this dose rate in half.
But then I have asked a small question. Is there not also this question coming up, okay, second application by the end of the flowering, what about the damage of the rapeseed because of driving through the rapeseed when it's already getting higher and higher? Is that then not also a complaint from the side of farmers?
Yes, we have this kind of questions, but I know that some of the farms are going to apply some extra fertilization products after the flowering, so they're doing this damage in both cases. Yes, other farms has higher sprayers.
Arnas, if we go further and think about this flowering application from another perspective, there's always this question about flowering application. It's somehow it's a compromise application. So on one side we have this insurance strategy, so we don't know what kind of weather will come, how is the further development. But then also on the other side we have also this option for additional yield. So what is your opinion? What is your strategy? Would you go ahead, especially based on these current commodity prices, with a full dosage, full application, full power, or is also a reduced approach an option for you?
So I believe that everything must be done smart. It doesn't matter that also drape costs 520 euro, for example, right now in Lithuania, something around that. But it doesn't matter. We still must think what we're doing, why we're doing, and how we are doing. And I believe that farmers and customers of ours will definitely find out, they will find the points where they should invest and where they can save. And but I believe the biggest challenge this year will still be insect damage. Just because areas of winter also drape is growing, still growing. I don't know how much we're expecting this year, 280, 270,000 hectares in Lithuania as well, like it was last year. And of course, neonics went of our technology, especially we feel lack of them in the flowering time. We have at Aprill, which is still in the stem elongation applications, and it's more or less fine, but we were thinking what to do and how to fight the insects. So we found out that we should treat the crop constantly, so application after application, and these treatments must be strong ones, because if we'll have cleaner crop before flowering, we will have less pressure of the bugs during the flowering. So that was our biggest question of the year, yeah. And it's the common question farmers also gives for us, how to fight the insects during the flowering. And our answer is we should go after the crop for whole vegetation period. We should not think about flowering application as something which will solve the problem. The problem could be solved partly only if we'll work during the season. So, like always, you know, René, I like to talk, so it takes some time to answer your questions.
I see already, I see, but no problem. But please let me repeat my question again. So would you go ahead with full dosage, full power application, or a reduced approach? So what is your personal opinion in flowering?
When we're talking about flowering, I see no reason to decrease those rates, especially if we'll have some rain or some moisture during the flowering. If it will be, I don't know, if we'll have miracle right now and we'll have 25, 30 degree and we'll have extremely dry conditions, then maybe one fungicide application in the middle of flowering could work quite well as well. Especially those who have big amounts of strobilurins. If you will have, let's say, warmer conditions, more than 22, 25 degrees Celsius, you should avoid, and farmers should avoid, tebuconazole and metconazole, because these products are still working as growth regulators, and they can have some negative stresses over there. And so very nice product like a filler, in my opinion, shouldn't be used in this kind of cases. Also a mixture with tebuconazole, like tebu plus azoxy, tebu plus protio, we should avoid them, in my opinion. But products who has boscalid, who has strobilurins like demoxystrobin or pyraxlostrobin, or a product like difenoconazole plus Amistar Gold, it's fine. Not Amistar Gold, it's called Amistar Gold, so it's difenoconazole plus azoxystrobin. They're fine in higher temperatures, but just be careful, look after the crop, and don't push it to the limit.
You mentioned moisture, and yeah, I have learned in the past that there is just 24 hours moisture necessary in the rapeseed crop to explode here a high risk for Sclerotinia infection. And I think it's not only Sclerotinia, but Sclerotinia is one of the main threats in the flowering time. Yeah, we need here a full protection for our flowering to have here then later the best yield production out of it. So that's why target is clear, protection for the full flowering period. And you mentioned already a little bit, okay, best probably one good application date is the main flowering BBCH 65. So from the point of from the science perspective, everything is clear. So main flowering application, and then we are safe. But I'm asking now myself, is it really so easy? Because we know that even the most powerful products based on these active ingredients, boscalid, or on the other side, we have also fluopyram from Bayer. They have an efficiency of, what is it, 2, maybe 3 weeks. So I'm asking now myself, yeah, is it then so easy just to go ahead with this main flowering and then to hope that the rest of the flowering is protected? Or is maybe also this splitting strategy, which you mentioned in your papers, an option for the future?
So yes, I believe that I already answered this question because you know, flower. When oilseed rape starts to flower, yes, it's flowering for 1 day. Yeah, it's fertile for 1 day, and after it's I don't know, ready to grow, we have blossoms around. Yes, and these blossoms are falling down, and when they are coming to the stem, or not to the stem, to the leaf, and we have stem, we have very good position here to come. So these blossoms are coming and they're starting to rot. After they are rotting, they're damaging winter's oilseed rape wax layer, and through that point, Sclerotinia comes to the plant. So I believe that every single farmer knows this theory because it's told a lot by every single chemical salesman, I believe, in the continent. The thing is that these blossoms, they're coming up constantly. So we have part of also drape which is already flowering, and the other branches are coming later, or side branches, they are coming later. And that's the point why two-time application always works, almost always works better. It's because of we are covering more blossoms by fungicide, because our goal is to cover up the blossom, not only to cover up the plant, but blossoms are the key because they are taking this infection down to the plant. And when we're splitting this application, we're covering more blossoms, they're more successful on control. And that's the idea. And that's the reason why it's much better to get one application when we have shorter periods of flowering. If the flowering is extended and if it's not too hot, we should always think about two applications. They are much better.
Yeah, I can confirm that based on results here for special sclerotinia trials in Denmark, it's also here that these strategies with this kind of splitting show the best efficiency and then finally also the best profit. I remember very well one time, that was 2016 in the southwestern part of Germany. We had a really huge appearance of sclerotinia outside in the field. This infection was able to destroy here really on a high level the rapeseed production. And farmers asking themselves, okay, I applied my pictor or I applied my propulse. So what is the reason for it? Finally, later on, they found out it was too less water in the spraying tank. So too less water per hectare what they used. Yeah. So not enough water really to cover the full plant. What are your recommendations here in Agrokoncernase regarding amount of water per hectare for this application?
So for this application, we're never ever recommending to decrease amount of the water to less than 200 liters per hectare is the minimum dose rate. Also, we're placing some organosilicones to the tank. So these materials, they are releasing the tension of the water and you can cover bigger areas. And as well, when we have such a complex plant like also drape, it has so many complex architecture, yeah, so many small details and everything else, and you need to cover the blossoms extremely well. So these products like Silhouette Gold, for example, it's one of the best, if not the best product out there. And we are placing with Pictar Active 50 grams is enough because Pictar Active it has good formulation. But if you are using products like Bolid, like Amistar, like Orius, these more primitive ones, older ones, 100 grams per liter is, or per tank is, sorry, per hectare is fine if you are placing 200 liters. If you are placing 300 liters, which is even better, you have to increase this dose rate by 50%. So 70 to 100 grams if you're applying it with Pictar Active, for example, or Cantus Gold, or Propolis, also very nice product. But if you are applying it with older products, not so well formulated products, I suggest to place 150 then, just to keep this percentage for 100 liter of water. And it works well, in my opinion.
I remember very well our last visit together in your internal trial station.
Yes.
We checked here a little bit the variety reactions of Mercedes. We discussed about Phantom and so on. I was so surprised to see your approach, that you checked your candidates for full fungicide intensity once, and you also checked them without fungicides to see here some more specific variety reactions. Can you confirm now, based on your experience in your internal trials, this marketing points like greening effects, higher vitality of the varieties after such flowering application? Can you confirm this improved pot package, lower harvest losses, and so on? So do you see that in the field then after this flowering application?
So what I can definitely assure you that the stems which are left after the harvest, they are greener, definitely, if you are placing there high loads of strobilurins into that. And diseases like sclerotinia, foma, they are not spreading, or they're not finishing the life of the plant so rapidly. Yeah, so it's slowing down just a little bit. It's not a big difference, but still. Also, when we're talking about harvesting, the big problem sometimes becomes farmer himself. Not the problem, but the view. Yeah, how I'm looking into my business. For example, they're spraying high loads of strobilurins on the flowering. Then they have some extensions on the harvest time. So not all the time it's possible to harvest, and especially the biggest problem it becomes when neighbor of the farmer is already harvesting. And it does not matter that neighbors also drape started to flower 1 week earlier because of lack of the nutrients and many other questions, but it sums up. And for example, we have some eco farms here in Lithuania, and they're harvesting 1 month almost earlier than intensive farms. And also client himself, I'm visiting today, he was starting to harvest his also drape, the last one, almost the last one in the region, because of intensive technology. And strobilurins was one of the components, but I'm happy to tell that his average also drape yield was 4.4 tons, and it was really good to have this, because everywhere around was free, 200 kilos less, 300 kilos less, and it's still money. So sometimes it's better to wait a little bit longer and harvest a little bit later, but to get more and better quality, more oil content as well. And when we're talking about pot shattering, you mentioned, yes, it helps a little bit, because the pots, they're not drying so fast, and you don't have this rapid changes, because pot is opening when the upper layer of the pot is dried by sun. And if it moves a little bit, because this area, top area, shrinks a bit, and if it shrinks a bit, tension appears, yeah, and it pops up. Like Mercedes is very good example for that. It's one of most elite varieties who shatters easily, but it doesn't matter if farmers still harvesting better yield. Yes? Yep. So it shatters in this way. So if we have greener plant and the upper layer is not so old, it's not reacting so sensitively, and this tension is reduced.
Yeah. I agree. You mentioned eco farms, and that's another point where I would like to speak a little bit with you about. We discussed already several times about these developments on the political level. So we discussed about Green Deal and the further developments of pesticides and the future. We see now, right now in Switzerland, a big movement. There's a preparation for a new referendum where they will decide somehow about the further strategies of pesticide usage. So they really ask with or without pesticides in Switzerland for future. And you mentioned that you see also some increasing in this organic farming. We see that on a European perspective. We see it also in the Baltics. In my opinion, I think the rapeseed market has to adapt because the political decisions are already made somehow. And from my point of view, I think Rapeseed can do it. Rapeseed has potential for that. My question now to you is, do you discuss that already in Agrokoncernase internally, or did you start already to prepare somehow your business for future, for more organic rapeseed?
Yes, we started.
Okay. Would you like to share more with us?
So I think the first thing every single farmer will have to do during this Green Deal is to fix up our broken crop rotations. It's the first job to do, and if oilseed rape will come back to the field every 5 years, we'll have half of this problem we do have right now, especially with pests and insects. Just I can remind you, René, I don't know if you know, because I know that you came to Rapul team quite not so long time ago when you're talking about Baltics. But I remember when we had 120,000 hectares of spring oilseed rape, and the biggest problem there was flea beetle, pollen beetle, pollen beetle, and resistance it got for all pyrethroids. It was massive. Nothing worked there. We could not control these insects anymore because of resistances they got. And when area of spring oilseed rape disappeared or was reduced drastically by the farmers, right now we have much better efficacy against pollen beetle of all classes of insecticides. It's already came back almost to previous efficacy. The problem is right now we have it's the same plenty of applications, and you know, smart farming, I believe, comes from smart choices and smart strategy for a longer period of time for the farm. And the problem here is that one farm can't change it because these resistances comes, you know, in bigger areas than one farm, and these insects migrates. So yes, crop rotation is the first thing we will have to think about. And I believe that in our previous meeting on the podcast, I mentioned that in this case, companies like Rapul will help a lot with new genetics, without any doubts. Healthier plants will do their work by themselves. Also, if we'll be able to reduce amounts of nitrogen we are applying, it will help a lot as well. I don't know about your graphs you are showing. You have not convinced me that it's working too well still, but I believe that if you have this goal, it will come in next 5 years maybe. So I believe that you are helping here a lot, and you will move there, and Agrokoncernase will move also to this direction without any doubts. We always are trying to work on smarter way, and I believe we've won a hell of distributor, not when we're talking only about Lithuania, but in many other countries. When we are comparing ourselves to others, we see that we are investing quite a lot into this know-how and efficiency and the decisions we're making. So yes, we're going to do it, and of course.
I'm looking forward to participate then on a presentation from you speaking about organic rapeseed production. As a guy with such full confidence for chemical solutions. So, but okay, one comment from my side, Arnas.
To expand here just a little bit, just a couple of more sentences. I believe that organic farm is not a panacea, you know, like the best thing ever. As well, I'm not thinking that intensive farm is the best thing ever. I think that all the treatments must be done when it's necessary, and we have to invest this money and efficacy into the crop when it's needed. So the thing is right now, and the biggest problem right now is that we don't know when it's needed. And here technologies will change us and our work in next 10 years. Yeah. And I believe that farms and farmers, I spoke with last week, I spoke with some of our partners and I said, you know, things are going to change. And they said, no, Arnas, you know, you're crazy, but believe in me, it's going to change. And we are going to work differently, all of us. And I don't believe that treatments like crop protection products will be out of the business. The question is different, that we will use these kind of products, then it's necessary to use. And so I'm waiting for that time, because I believe that we'll be healthier, we'll have a better environment, and believe in me, Agrokoncernase will know how to do their work and how to earn money, because we are also businessmen, not only great agronomists. So
yeah, I'm quite sure that Agrokoncernase will be a part of these new developments, that's for sure. Before we go further, Arnas, one comment from my side regarding your statement with the crop rotation and the impact of crop rotation. Yes, sure, that is definitely one opportunity somehow to regulate here the appearance of pests, for example. But I can tell you from Germany, we reduced the amount of rapeseed from a few years ago. We had 13% of the total land was with rapeseed. Now we are on a level of 7%, and we still have our problems with the different pests and so on. So it is not that easy just to reduce here the amount of rapeseed in the field and then everything is fine. It is more complex, but you mentioned that already. Things have to develop, we have to learn more, and then we will find also solutions for the new conditions, that's for sure.
What I had in mind, you know, that also drape, not only the area should decrease. I'm not talking maybe about only also drape, but wheat after wheat, amount of legumes in our crop rotation, catch crops. Then we're talking about the fields where also drape comes too often. Yeah, if we would make it in smarter ways, let's say, and project life of our farm for next 10 years and the fields and the crop rotation, it would become better, I believe. And the problem here comes that, look, winter also drape costs 500 euro per ton. Okay, next year we will drill 350,000 hectares in Lithuania, maybe, just because of the high price. But the thing is that if farm has long-term strategy for its crop rotation for next 10 years, and it won't be able to go after these opportunities, yeah, but it will be more sustainable, and this kind of farm will be more stable itself. So it won't be ups and downs, but let's say steady growth in long period of time. So it's according to strategy.
Yeah. Arnas, for the moment already, many thanks for this interesting discussion, and we are really already in a very deep, detailed level. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to use the moment to calm down a little bit and have a break, and yeah, play a new edition with my guest Arnas of our little game Rapeseed for Experts, the Rapeseed quiz by RAPS Assistant. Arnas, I would like to invite you for a new edition. I prepared 5 small questions. Would you like to participate?
You know, I saw some other podcasts where you asked some of these questions to other experts, and I was listening to them, and I was like, I have no idea what he's talking about. So I'm a little bit scared about this. You've prepared, but let's go. I'm a brave man, I suppose.
Okay, great, great. Then, yeah, let's go.
Okay,
Arnas, we spoke already a lot about the fungicides. You highlighted a little bit boscalid as one of the most powerful ingredients.
yes.
I have checked a little bit here the internet and found out that boscalid was at the beginning more developed for vineyards, so for a totally other part of business. Do you have an idea when was the first registration of boscalid?
It should be quite old. It's one of the first SDHAs, if I remember right. And it was vineyards as well. It's used quite a lot for sunflowers right now against sclerotinia, by the way. I think something like 80s should be 1980. 1988, ninth something, just
okay.
for 1990s or in the somewhere on that place. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
We will see. We will see a solution. The answer will come later.
Okay.
Let's speak a little bit further about boscalid. I have found out an interesting figure. They made some European trial network to investigate here the yield effect of such application on the rapeseed. And I have here data from 2003 to 2018 on this European level, with more than 720 trials where they investigate here this yield effect. What do you think? How big was the yield effect?
What kind of dose rate of boscalid averagely was used? 250 grams, 100, 150, 500?
I think they, when they spoke about this pictor, or we call it Cantus Gold, I think the normal dosage.
In the whole Europe, it's pictor, and only in Lithuania and Baltics it has the name of Cantus Gold, and Pictor Active was next generation of this fungicide in the whole Europe. But if it's pictor, then we have demoxystrobin next side on the boscalid, so it's not the solo boscalid. Solo boscalid was Cantus, the premium brand from BASF, and it was very successful here in Lithuania for a very long time. So I believe if it's Cantus Gold, it should be something 11-12%. Maybe.
Can you give that in tons per hectare?
500 kilograms, something like 4 to 6, something in between.
Okay.
Could be, but of course, if it's It depends on climatic conditions, of course. If it's wet, it could be to 15, 18, something, sometimes even 30. But if we're talking about average, it should be something around 12, 11. Okay.
In my presentations in the past, I used a lot German figures to speak about flowering and the effect of flowering applications. And you give me always the answer, okay, nice figures, but German data, so far away from conditions in the Baltics. That's why I took some time to catch some data here from Sweden. SFO, they investigate here every year also the yield effect of different flowering applications. And 2019 gives me some interesting results, which I would like to share with you. So they checked here 1 liter per hectare propulse or 1 liter per hectare picture active. And both applications were really dominating here the trials.
They are best applications on the market, in my opinion.
Yeah. The interesting was for me, net income of both applications was 92 euros for propulse and 117 for the picture active.
Yeah.
Now, question to you. They also test the effect of 0.3 kilograms canthus. And my question to you, what do you think? How big was the effect of this 250 grams pyraclostrobin in the picture active? So how much bigger was the income of picture active versus canthus?
You see, that's another question. It's gross or it's net income. So you are taking out the price of fungicide, or it's
yep, so the net income. So for picture active 117, how much bigger was, or how much lower was it for canthus?
I think something around 113, 114, something like that. It depends. 2019 was quite dry here. How was what was in Sweden? Because if it was dry, pyraclostrobin had to do had to give better result than if it was too wet. I suppose it could be even similar efficacy. But okay, let's say 12, 13%, something like that. Because I know that Boscolit is a damn great product.
Okay. So now enough about fungicides. Let's go a little bit in my business and speak about rapeseed plants. We know also this discussion about the pot package and to reach also the bottom part of the pot package and to develop here also the yield. What do you think? How big is the share of the lower pots at the bottom on the total pot package? So how much pots are here at the bottom of the pot package?
In percentage?
Yes.
Hmm? 20?
Okay.
No, I'm telling the answer. I'm trying to scan you and understand how precise it was.
Was not too bad. So last question. Plant oil prices, Arnas, going crazy on the global stock exchange. By the end of April, I marked here, rapeseed oil was traded with a price of 1,213 euros per ton, 75% more than in comparison to the year before, same date. My question to you, how much rapeseed oil we can get from 1 hectare?
Rapeseed oil?
Yes, rapeseed oil for
diesel,
a nice salad or
rapeseed
whatever
oil.
for cooking?
Well, it's what average yield of seeds.
Let's speak about average yield in Europe, 3.2 tons.
3.2 tons. Okay.
We use now a calculator.
Okay, it's working quite well as well. So okay, if we have all content like 40, let's say base content, 42, 3.2 tons. I don't know, 800 liters, something, 900 liters.
Okay, great. Thanks. Thanks, Arnas.
So when will we get answers, René? I'm a student, you know, and I'm from this younger generation who wants everything immediately.
You have to cool down a little bit. The answers will come in the next couple of days on our Facebook channel.
Okay.
Okay. Arnas, thanks again. Great that you took the time here and to participate on our little quiz. Let's come back to our topic and speak about the flowering and what to do. Let's leave the fungicides behind us and speak a little bit about insecticides. We definitely have to pay attention when we speak about flowering, about the cabbage seed weevil, for example, or the Brassica pot midge. You mentioned also it already that unfortunately we lose here also the neonic as an option to control here the insects in the flowering. My question now, and now what options left for our farmers? Can you give us a little update?
It's not many products who are still registered in Lithuania. For this period of time, I believe it's two main actives who are still here. So it's taufluvanelat from Maverick, and another one is Maverick or Avura. Two brands are registered here in Lithuania, and another one is gamma cicolotrin, pyrethroid from FMC, and it has two brand names. It's Vantex and Nexide. So. And I believe it's only two of these, if I remember right. We have some applications, some products who could be applied after the flowering, but during the flowering only these two actives. So our recommendation is to make a blend of those two. And it's quite tricky because we never had an experience with that. But we know that these dose rates we have, and our recommendation is 0.15 of Maverick, so 150 grams per hectare, and 50 grams per hectare of Nexide. It should be overkill for all insects who are damaging the crop. So weevils and okay, other kind, I can't remember in English, but these two main common insects should fall down. The problem with these two products are that they are working for a temporary period of time, especially Nexide, it's pyrethroid. But what I'm happy about that they are both stable in the light, and they're both stable in the high temperatures. So it looks like that even if we have heat waves, this product should work in the mixture with organosilicon, for example, Silvat Gold or fungicide. They should do their work as well. And if some farmers will go after the insects during the flowering, my recommendation is to use not less than 200 liters of water, increase it to 300 sometimes even, especially if you have huge oilseed rape and massive one, and this year it looks like we'll have some of those. So don't worry drive more with the tractor, drive more with the cisterns and the water, but use it wisely, because not only because of fungicide and its efficacy, but also because of the bugs.
Arnas, we know that insecticides from today, they don't have this efficiency like insecticides in the past. There's also this development of shifting of the pests according to the active ingredients. I would like to know, is there any further possibilities available so that we maybe with some other tools can increase here the efficiency? I'm thinking about additives, or is maybe, for example, liquid nitrogen an option, maybe in this case to make everything a little bit more sticky, and here based on that to increase the efficiency?
Well, it's a good point, but I already mentioned, we usually in our practice we're using organosilicones. They're quite cheap, and also their purpose is for that, yes, to stick the product, to spread the liquid. And sometimes farmers are experimenting with some other kind of adjuvants. They are figuring out by themselves, you know, that, for example, I know one farmer who buys cheap product to stick, you know, these papers on the wall, how it's called in English, wallpaper, yeah? to stick wallpapers. And he uses it to apply herbicides in cereals. And I'm like, why? It still costs almost nothing, but in efficacy, and even you should consider sometimes that you might do some damage to the crop when you are experimenting. So your ideas are good, but we prefer to use organosilicones. It's super spreader. It's great to have this kind of product in your warehouse all the time, not only for oilseed, but also for cereals when you are applying the ears, yeah, for fusarium. It's also very complex to cover all the spots, yeah. So this kind of products works very well.
Yeah, and what about liquid nitrogen?
Well, I'm not so familiar with that. I don't know, to be honest. What do you have in mind? Which kind of product?
We have this ammonium nitrate urea solution called AHL in Germany, with, I think that is 28% nitrogen inside. And yeah, I remember the farmers which make experiments with that, they go on a dosage of 10 to 20 liters, so just a small nitrogen dosage, not that much, but they use it somehow to make this whole spraying more sticky and more, so that it stays longer on the crop and not immediately
falling down. Yeah. So yes, that's the case. Why we're using these super spreaders like Silver Gold or something like that. It's plenty of them on the market. One are as a better, let's say, quality products. Others are not so good, in my opinion, because you can check how well they're spreading. And Silver is like crazy. If you place too big dose rates into the tank, it's evaporates in the air. It's not even reaching the crop, you know. So it's super duper product in my opinion.
Okay. Then next question, one step further. What is about the pH value? We know that for best efficiency of insecticides, you need this right pH value, more acid, so more lower pH value. What are your recommendations here in this case?
So my recommendation is always to add some, to fix the pH value, if you are applying pyrethroids, without any doubts, especially delta metrim, it's quite not so resistant for it, but also not so sensitive. But still, if you are applying delta metrim, it's something you must do. But also, when we're talking even about growth regulators in winter wheat applications, we have to fix that because we can see that when we have hard water and the pH value is above 8, we have these values in the northern part of Lithuania, near Pakruojis, Akmenė. We have this kind of water even around Kaunas in some cases. It might burn the leaves a little bit, and it gives extra stresses, especially if you're making high loads of something. So just, in my opinion, it must have solutions in the farm. And I'm happy that in the last couple of years, farmers started to pay attention because, you know, they started to ask the questions, why we have this kind of brown dot here, why we have this. And sometimes when people are blaming the crop or sometimes even fungicide, and they're telling, you know, DTR appeared, these brown small spots, we found out that it's physiological spots because of the water and the huge amounts of products who are in the tank at once, 7, 8 products, 9 products. So if you're mixing up so many products into the tank, you have to fix the pH on the end.
Arnas, yeah, we discussed now already a lot about different aspects of flowering application. Yeah. We are coming now closer to the end of our little discussion here today, and I would like to use the moment also to look ahead and speak a little bit about what's coming in 2022, and to speak with you a little bit about our new newcomer, Duplo, which we will bring to the market this summer. Duplo is one of the new turnip yellow virus hybrids from our pool breeding, convinced with a really attractive package of these disease resistances like turnip yellow virus, FOMA, but we have also pod shatter resistance. We already spoke about that. And on top of this, we have further attractive agronomic features like unbelievable outstanding growth and development before winter. We have lodging resistance as well, and also drought tolerance, which was definitely a plus point in the last year. Finally on top, for our customers, definitely the most important point is yield. And here Duplo convinced last year very well in the official trials in Lithuania. I remember, I think it was with +1 ton more than in comparison to the standard variety. So really an attractive result in the first year. And I would like to discuss now a little bit with you. We know Duplo is one of these big biomass types. We have this really strong robustness inside with high stress tolerance, and we have this pod shattering resistance at the end as well. If I take this variety now and compare that or bring it together with the attractive commodity prices which we have right now, what would you recommend now then for flowering application? Would you go ahead with a full application again, really to take out the most profit? Or would you here maybe also look for some reductions in the application?
No, in these applications, I wouldn't look for reductions. We can look some compromises during whole vegetation, but this application, in my opinion, is the last one which places the jewel on the crown. And I believe from Agrokoncernase side, we'll have a recommendation Pictor Active 0.5 plus 0.5, 2 times application together in the mixture with insecticides, blends or straight ones. And yeah, we can use Maverick twice, I suppose, if I remember right, the label. We can use it twice during vegetation, so both on flowering could be there. And I think that we should invest, and we are investing by ourselves. We have to remember that Agrokoncernase are farmers as well, and our goal is to be efficient farmers. So we are investing, and we're planning to invest. Even those farms who usually are applying 0.7 liter of Pictor Active per hectare, it's a really good application. But I believe we can increase to 0.8, even 1 liter. Why not? Today we have best time to farm. It's you know.
I'm not sure if it is the best time, but it's definitely, it makes fun now to make farming with current conditions outside in the field and with the commodity prices. It's definitely more fun.
Rene, I believe that every single time, best time is now, because now you can make some kind of decision. Even when we've been discussing about your quiz, and I keep that in mind and thinking about these percentages and what kind of other answers, reasonable answers could be. I know that when I'll know them, these answers, I'll be a little bit smarter. So it's like always. Right now we're asking each other, yes, if we should invest. I believe right now. I believe we should. We'll know in the autumn. That's.
I totally agree. You have. Yeah, I have the same opinion as you. So with such a high price for rapeseed, and with a variety where we have this extra yield on top, so it makes definitely sense to invest here and to get the most.
I can tell this, Rene, that usually when we are checking one-time application and two-time applications on fungicide, yeah. In between we have 3-4% usually. Usually it's around 111, 112 of one-time application, and in two-time application it's 117, 115, something like that. So we have a small gap there, and this gap costs. It brings money. Also, another big thing is we have to warn farmers. This year was really good prices for oilseed rape during the whole period. So some farms sold some of their yield of 2021 for 380. Some of them sold for 400. Some of them sold for 450. Right now it's 500. Be careful about taking these contracts, because sometimes hail happens. Sometimes something must, when everything looks too good, sometimes something happens. Yeah. So if you have crop insurance, why not just contract it? But I believe that safe amount is 2.5-3 tons is quite a lot already, but 2.5 tons is quite safe amount to contract from the early perspective. And even today I was in the crops where we're expecting 5 point something tons. Yeah, it's really promising and very best crops. And but still it's good to expect right now, but it's much better to know that you have everything in your warehouse.
Thank you, Arnas. With these words, I would like to close here our discussion today. Arnas, again, many thanks for your participation. It was a pleasure for me to discuss with you about the right flowering applications and what to do and where are the little details. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope that you enjoy our little discussion here today, and may we were able to deliver you some benefits for your rapeseed production in future. Arnas, some last words from your side.
So, very last word of every person is amen. Yeah, should be. But in my opinion, we have very nice weather right now. Use it, spray. Let's do our job together. Last one. But I wish to remind you that we are on the social media. Help us, help Rapul. Leave some comments for Facebook's, YouTube's algorithms. They do really like it. So just share it if it's good with your friends or family. Because today what we've been speaking, I believe that it's a really nice example of honest cooperation we're doing with Rapul for a very long time. And we're always open with each other. And to be honest, Rene, I have not felt this hour, maybe hour and a half. How long do we speak? But it's flew by a second. So next time, let's meet and let's chat about this kind of topics.
Thanks, Arnas. Thank you so much for your nice words.
Good luck, everyone.
Thanks. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, now let me summarize a few points based on the discussion with our guest Arnas here today. Yeah, flowering application is a complex topic and influenced by several factors which require a customized decision finally to find here the best strategy. Yeah, we cannot forecast the weather, so we have to keep that in mind. The risk for late infections is always there, and definitely if we keep in mind these high commodity prices, economic losses are really high if we do not the applications in the best way. So do not make here the mistake and really take the opportunity to benefit from this attractive price level right now. And we have heard that from our guest Arnas. Please invest in your rapeseed and in your harvest 2021. Take the opportunities and go ahead with a powerful protection with these strong fungicides like Pictor. We have heard Pictor Active in Lithuania, or also the other products. Application date should be oriented to the specific variety in the field in order really to have the best protection. And of course, yeah, keep an eye on the appearance of insects in your field and put that together in the best way also to protect here the bees in your rapeseed field. Then some small words from my side. Dear RAPS Assistant audience, spring 2021 remain exciting. Just two figures. The yield forecasts are, despite this strong winter, they are still on a very high level, and it looks promising also for harvest 2021. In comparison to the long-term average, our forecast for the coming harvest is still plus 5%. And if we keep in mind this already mentioned commodity prices, yeah, we are here 37% above the last year. Rapeseed in spring 2021 makes fun. The outlook is positive, the yield forecasts are still on a promising level, and also the commodity prices going really crazy. So if we took that together with the market conditions right now, it looks promising for the rapeseed. So do not miss here the chance and implement some of our discussed recommendations here from today into your own management. Ladies and gentlemen, many thanks from my side. It was again a pleasure. I wish you all the best for your harvest 2021. Stay healthy. Best regards here from Germany, your RAPS assistant.